Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, if you don't clean the kitty litter every day, I will move and you will have to as well. I make the choice. Hair too long for dress code. No microwaves allowed, you say? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. If you don't clean the kitty litter every day, I will move and you will have to as well. I make the choice. So my entire life belongs on this sub apparently. I didn't know malicious compliance was a thing lol, but I've been doing it my entire life as this is my go-to way to resolve conflict. Warning, this is a long one. So I just moved apartments because my previous landlady/roommate/leaser was absolutely crazy and broke a ton of laws. I could have escalated this situation and most likely gotten my landlady, 40+F, in trouble, but I'm pretty young, 21F, so I decided to go the malicious compliance route. Where to begin? From the moment I moved into the apartment, things were going awry. The landlady hadn't moved her stuff out of my unit yet, so I had to help her do that before moving my stuff in. Of course she didn't help me move my stuff in, just wanted help moving her stuff. Now I'm a pretty laid-back person, arguably to the point of me being a borderline doormat, so whatever, cool, I'll help you move your stuff. Then after helping her, she decided to then tell me after I've moved in, and after the lease is signed, that my cat might not be able to stay because of her daughter's, 30F, alleged allergy that she apparently didn't know about when she agreed to allow my cat in the unit. The landlady had 3 very aggressive and loud chihuahuas, as well as constantly babysitting her 9-mo grandson who stomped and screamed the entirety of his visits. Once again, it's your girl the doormat, and I just kind of ignored the annoyance I had towards the loud dogs and child because I'm renting, so like what did I expect? I notified her that if the cat hair became a problem then I would temporarily house him, until I could find a pet-friendly new place. Landlady agreed this was the best route. Upon later conversations with her daughter, the allergy was super low grade and her daughter routinely pet and loved my cat without issue when she came down to do laundry, so I DK why her mother made a huge deal of it. So now that I've painted a picture of my move-in, let me just add that I had 3 deal breakers. 1. Unit had to be pet-friendly. 2. Unit had to have separate entrance, and 3. If shared laundry, the washer and dryer were to be separated from my unit. It's totally my fault for choosing this place as the entrance was shared and my unit had no lock, and I couldn't install one. The washer and dryer was in my unit, which meant if the landlady or her daughter wanted to do laundry, they would have to walk through my entire apartment, and now with the daughter's new allergy, things were looking grim. But whatever, I chose this as a favor to my landlady, because she couldn't find anyone else. Big red flag retrospectively lol, and I worked with her, so I figured it would be okay since we could carpool. Spoiler alert, it wasn't okay lol. So shortly after my turbulent move-in day, things were tense as my landlady lost her father the previous year, and this was her first holiday season without him. I suppose that during my holiday to my parents, my landlady entered my unit without permission. She wrote a laundry schedule, so I knew when she was supposed to be down there. This was not one of those times, and took a disliking to my cat's litter box. Now I have one adult male tabby cat that maybe poops/pees once a day, so I would clean the litter box 2 to 3 times a week, which had never been an issue before. Upon my return home, my landlady screamed at me in her car about my lack of hygiene for my animal and accused me of neglecting him, while also claiming her son said he smelled dirty litter in her unit when he was over for Christmas. She demanded that I clean the litter box every day/every other day, which I was basically doing already, as it was cleaned every 2 to 3 days, or she would move and thus terminate her lease, and furthermore result in mine being terminated because I was leasing from her. Okay, cool. I totally thought she was out of line, but I'm a broke college student, so moving again, after only being there for a few months, was not ideal. Whatever, I apologize for the issue and any smell they smelled, and let her know that I would handle it. My boyfriend was in charge of that chore, so he abides by her demands just to keep the peace, as well as taking it further by adding deodorizers to the litter. Some more backstory is that both her and her daughter are cigarette smokers, and would smoke in the house and right by the entrance. All of my guests have verified that they do not smell any litter even if they are standing right next to the box. The only thing they could smell was cigarette smoke. This was after I would slyly prompt them by saying, I think I smell cat litter, do you? I think I may be desensitized. A month later she sends a text stating that the litter is still an issue, and that if it happens again she is going to evict us as we are endangering the health of her grandson. At this point she had began terrorizing me at work and at home due to this issue. She was my HR rep, so I was kind of SOL when it came to work because she would be the one that would handle that kind of situation. She's terrible at her job mostly because she's crazy and can't understand that her personal feelings have no place in the professional sphere. At this point I'm like, fuck it. I give up. I have jumped through fiery hoops for this woman and she still isn't happy. So we respond to her eviction threat with our 60-day notice of termination of our lease. The landlady did not take it well at all and the atmosphere became more tense because now she had to move as well as she couldn't afford the place on her own and could not get any other roommate, hence me moving in. During this period before I moved to my new unit, she repeatedly entered my unit to do laundry despite it not being her day on the schedule she wrote, and after I gave explicit notification that she is to wait until I get home to enter my unit to do laundry, I never said no, just not while I'm not home because my cat can get spooked if I'm not there and strangers enter his space. She ignored my request citing that it didn't work for her and would enter my unit. She would also enter my unit early in the morning after I had left for work and would enter my unit to do laundry when I was sleeping. Y'all. Anyways, my leaving the lease early really fucked her up because she wasn't prepared to move. She was making baseless threats and I called her bluff. She couldn't find a new roommate, she couldn't afford the place on her own, she was struggling to find a place to live because she's crazy and had super weird stipulations like there cannot be a speck of green in her unit and stuff like that. She wanted her niece to move in, but that would require kicking us out a night before we could move into our new place, which she tried to do, but I informed her of the law and said it wasn't happening unless we got a refund for the nights we left early. Ultimately my parents are amazing and were able to loan me some extra cash, so I could move into my new place sooner than the first of the month, so I did that. My landlady's niece had already found other accommodations, so she got fucked there because she was going to have to front rent entirely on her own now since she didn't want to refund us for the nights we would have had to forfeit for her niece. Her terribly mannered dogs had done plenty of damage to the unit before we moved in that the owner of the property charged her $400, which she promptly tried to blame on us even though it was her dogs who chewed the baseboards and her own negligence that resulted in her dogs peeing and saturating a wooden door in their urine. I switched companies due to her harassment and as of late, my replacement is messing up the job so badly that the company can't even function day-to-day operations. My replacement was my landlady/HR rep's best friend, so it looks terrible on her. They had to hire an additional person to cover the work that I was doing. I, on the other hand, got a new job in the field in which I'm studying. A bonus was that this new job had better hours, double the pay, less work and was full-time with benefits, none of which I was getting from my previous employer. My new unit is amazing and my new landlords are so incredible. My unit is separated from the laundry and pet-friendly, and it has a separate entrance. I'm allowed to burn incense and candles again, which is super nice. Hair too long for dress code. A few years ago, I was a department manager for a large conference center. I ran the top-performing department, as determined by guest feedback surveys, by a large margin. Like, no other department out of 1,200 employees was even close. And my dress style was always nice and professional. Dress code didn't say we needed to have on button-up shirts and ties, but I did it anyway cause I looked great and professional, and I met with the leaders of large conferences multiple times per day. I dressed to impress. They were my clients and whatever their problem was, I was going to fix it. My demeanor and professional attire did great things to alleviate their concerns. My bosses got on a dress code kick for some reason. They made me and my small department, 6 people total, start wearing lame colorful standardized shirts with a logo on front. The rationale was that the clients should be able to identify me as a staff member. I get the logic, but that was what my lanyard and name badge were for. Plus, the bright/colorful dress code shirt was actually detrimental to my work, as I often worked backstage as a tech during band performances. Industry standard color for techs is black. But they wanted me to wear bright yellow. Okay, I tell them my concerns for my shirt's bright colors being a distraction for the audience as I do work backstage. My bosses don't care, they made up a new dress code and want me to follow it. Fine. So I wear the shirt. But then I also wear a nice sweater vest, or just a vest, on top it. Still got my tie on. I like ties. But, to make it explicitly clear I'm staff, I get my own hat made, at my own expense too, that shows the company's name on it. Again, my badge and lanyard are always visible. But now I can do my backstage work without being a distraction to the audience that might glimpse my movement as I go about doing scene changes, etc. But then my bosses tell me that the company's logo has to be visible on my shirt, and I therefore can't wear a vest. So then I get the company's logo embroidered on my shirt sleeve, also at personal expense. Problem solved, right? I'm wearing the shirt they gave me and the company's logo is visible. At this point, my boss is pissed at me and is trying to write me up for any possible infringement of company policies. I know how to read a room, and I immediately start going to the HR director to approve of my new and evolving malicious compliances of this ever-changing dress code policy. My boss says that we can't wear hats. Okay, fine. My hair is visible for all to see, and I quickly become aware of the next thing my bosses are going to tell me to fix. My hair. They're going to cite some vague language in the employee handbook about hair length. So I go to the HR director preemptively and ask for clarification for hair length. After a 10-minute conversation, we both agree that I am perfectly fine with nothing to worry about. My hair is nice, in a bun, and looks good. It's well kept and stylish, and my specific clientele actually really like it because they're mostly hipsters anyway. But my bosses don't see it that way. They say that my hair is too long and needs to be cut. I ask them how long is too long. I am, after all, a rule follower and will obey the rules. One of my bosses, a woman with long hair that is actually against dress code because it's not put up into a bun, says that my hair should be less than shoulder length. My hair was in a man bun. I ask her if that policy extends to women as well. She says no, obviously, that this dress code only applies to men. Apologetically and feigning ignorance, I ask her to show me where it says that in the employee handbook. She shows me the section where it says that if the hair is longer than shoulder length, regardless the gender, it should be kept in a bun. I tell her that my hair is in a bun, as opposed to hers. Oh man, now it's getting real. I just called them out. They're not happy. My other boss, a guy with super short hair, less than 1/4 of an inch long, tells me that as a guy, my hair shouldn't touch my shirt's collar. He tells me that a few stray hairs of mine are touching my collar. I pull out my phone and take a picture of him. I show him that even his 1/4 hair is touching the collar, his head was leaned back and his hair was touching his collar. I ask them again to clarify how long is too long, because his 1/4 hair is too long for their standards. Side note, I love my thick hair. Someone telling me to cut it arbitrarily speaks fighting words. Then they tell me that I just need to do what I'm told because it's company policy, and if I don't do it, they'll get HR involved. I tell them I already got HR involved, and the HR director explicitly told me that my hair was perfectly fine. But these two bosses of mine just wouldn't let it go. They had to go after my hair. They told me that since I'm a manager and meet with group leaders, I have to go above and beyond what the dress code says, and I have to act professional in order for us to receive good guest feedback regarding professionalism. I tell them that me and my department are already the most professional and highest rated department according to guest feedback surveys. I take the printout of the survey results out from my bag, because I anticipated my lack of professionalism was going to be questioned and had it printed in advance, and I show them the survey. They read it, toss the paper aside, and tell me to cut my hair or be written up. Fine. The next day, I come into work with a shaved head. They never told me to cut my hair again, because I looked far worse with no hair. Coincidentally, they also let me wear my hat again, haha. But only because my shaved head was a sore sight. As a point of interest, when I resigned from my position a year later, I submitted to HR my 80-point paper why my two bosses caused me to leave the organization, how they stifled me and my department from doing legitimately good and quality work, and how I felt that under their leadership, I was incapable of ever winning. A month after I left, I heard from a friend and previous coworker who was still at the company that my direct boss was forced to retire, and my other boss was fired. My friend told me that they were privy to a conversation held between the CEO and my female boss, the one who was fired, and my friend overheard the CEO say, "Your time here at this company is over. And I want you to know that when you're gone, your position will not be filled. Consider you and your position eliminated." Lastly, I haven't cut my hair since I left, apart from occasional trims. It's now almost 3 feet long, and I plan on giving my gorgeous lion's mane away to some charity that deals with making wigs for kids. No microwaves allowed, you say? Another post reminded me of this. This story's most of 2 decades old, so details are not precise. When I was in college, as many people do, I lived in a dorm. Now, my college had 3 different groups of dorms, one that was in the main set of buildings that was mostly seniors, one that was mostly sophomores/juniors, and one that was almost all freshmen. The freshman dorm area had beds that were fixed to the walls, desks fixed to the walls, and built-in bookcases. It also only had one common room for 150 students, paired 2 to a room, and only one microwave in the common room. We weren't, ostensibly, allowed microwaves in the rooms. It makes sense, there were false fire alarms frequently from burnt popcorn in the lounge area. I can only imagine what horrors a bunch of 18-year-olds would concoct in their rooms if they were blithely allowed microwaves. Most people just went along with it, while grumbling. But oh, not me. I was complaining one day about the rule, and how those of us who weren't idiots could handle a simple microwave. The RA overheard, laughed, and said I was welcome to try and find a way around it, but she'd never found one. Being the nerd I am though, I went and read the handbook in detail. On page 59 it said no microwaves, but literally page 60 it said any appliance under 1000 watts is allowed. So I found a microwave that was under that pathetic little thing at 500 watts, granted, in a Walmart ad. Took the ad and handbook to her boss, the residence life director. To her chagrin, she had to admit that any appliance under 1000 watts was allowed, and the handbook did say any appliance, after all. She agreed to let me have my microwave, as long as I didn't let the rest of the students in on the trick. I agreed. I also talked my way into only getting charged for a double when my roommate moved out a semester later, and I should have been charged for a single. I simply explained to her since I was paying my own way through college, I couldn't afford it. It was hardly my fault my roommate wanted to move to the party dorm, and the person I was supposed to move in with refused to respond to my repeated calls, and notes slipped under the new room's door. Note, she wasn't living in the new room yet either, we were both being reassigned to it. I just didn't want to move into an antagonistic environment, after all. She saw it was me, laughed, and since no one really wanted to move into this cruddy little mayhem dorm, she just waived the extra fee. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.